Welcome to the Raw Food Health Empowerment Podcast. Today we're talking about the vagus nerve, what it is, and why you should be stimulating it daily. So Ma, educate us. What is the vagus nerve?
Well, from my understanding and for what I study on it, it's one of the longest nerve in your body. You know, like when somebody says, you touch my last nerve. Have you ever heard that expression?
Yeah.
Like when you're under stress, or somebody upset you, that nerve, everything goes off in your body. So that's what the vagus nerve is. It's a nerve that go right through your body. It feed other nerves in the body. It's like the main chassis of a car. It's like your body you cannot have a body without a backbone. So I call the vagus nerve a bone, a backbone that you depend on.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the largest nerve in the body.
So the vagus nerve is connected to the parasympathetic nervous system, which is it's either called the automatic or the autonomic nervous system. I can't remember. Basically handles everything we don't have to think about, like breathing, blinking, when we blink, just naturally when we're talking, all these things that happen in our body that we don't have to think about. That's the autonomic nervous system. Then there's the parasympathetic nervous system, which regulates the rest and digest systems of the body, right? So when we're in a relaxed phase, that's when we're engaging the parasympathetic nervous system. And this vagal nerve that you're talking about is connected to that. When we increase or stimulate our vagal tone, they call it, then we're activating that system so our body can relax faster after a stressful event. So basically a high vagal tone is linked to positive emotions and good physical health, obviously, because if you're in the relaxation phase, that's when you have optimal digestion. Optimal digestion leads to better absorption of nutrition and all of these types of things. And I thought what was really interesting, I'm going to link to a document on the vagus nerve in the show notes. So make sure you click the link to the show notes to this episode so you can read that. But they mention in there that the vagal tone of the mother actually passes down to the child, to the baby. Yeah. So if the mom is stressed or depressed, she has a low vagal tone. So the baby basically ends up with that. And it had me actually thinking of, last week we got together and we recorded a podcast that I did not publish. And who knows, it'll be in the archives. It may or may not be heard, but that conversation, we ended up talking about the legacy of slavery and epigenetics, the things that are passed down. And it had me thinking, like, you have these women in such a stressful environment of forced labor, having husbands ripped away from them, having children ripped away from them, being raped, and all of this stuff. It just doesn't disappear with the Emancipation Proclamation. Those fears actually get passed down every time they have a child, and that vagal tone gets passed down. Epigenetics, cellular memory gets passed down. And so we started actually watching Miss DeGuy, I think her name is Joy DeGuy, who wrote a book called Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome. And
we did that podcast.
Yeah, this is really relevant to that. And it's just like, you have her from the mental health aspect talking about this thing, and then the science of our bodies talking about this thing. And that's the relationship that I'm making. So Mom, maybe you can tell us, even though it's being passed down, and also lack of stimulation can cause, dysbiosis and mood and things like this. How exactly do we stimulate it?
All right. Before we even go into that, let me explain something to you.
Yeah.
The pass down didn't come to me because when I was pregnant with you, I was one of the happiest person in this world. You couldn't find a happier person. Beautiful skin, beautiful stomach, very, very happy. I was in a good relationship and still is. So I don't know about that passing down to you. Maybe if you have a child, it probably go down to that child. I don't know, because sometimes that's how genetic things go. Sometimes it go to all the fourth generation. But my personality, my attitude, my happiness, everything was just fine during my pregnancy. Other than that, I had a health issue during the pregnancy. So that was the only time that my nerve probably touched with something, because when you're uncomfortable and you feel like you're taking your last breath, it's not a nice feeling. So I just want to put that out there, that nothing like that ever passed on to me that I can remember. Okay. Sorry, no, what was your question?
Yeah, I mean, that's good to know. We have science that explains a lot, but that doesn't mean that everyone has that experience, right?
Right.
Like for example, they talk about the stats of being of a Black woman in America, how we're dying of chronic disease. I have no chronic disease. You have no chronic disease, yet we're Black women in America. We have high rates of obesity, actually. I think the obesity rate for the Black community is like 55% or something, like between 45 and 55%. And of that, Black women make up 60% of that. We are not obese, right? But that doesn't mean this is not going on in the community. So I think it's good to kind of explore some things that are happening, because we are in our communities, we see Black women struggling in the school system, which I am not connected to, but we do have family members who are teachers, who are dealing with young people who are not happy for a variety of reasons. And this is just one possible potential explanation, but even if, like, I was a young child, was very happy, right? My childhood was very happy. I couldn't stop smiling, right? I was so happy, right?
And I used to ask you why you smile so much. Yes,
I was a very happy child. So I'm not surprised, your vagal tone must have been very high when I was born.
110%, yes. Yeah.
Because I was a happy child. At the same time, there was a period of my adult life where I forgot music. And I was only listening to audiobooks, learning, absorbing information, not listening to music at all. So there was and you're going to talk about some of the ways to stimulate the vagus nerve, but that my vagus nerve was not being stimulated. I felt the effects of that. And so there's like some dual things in here in this conversation. There's like, even if you may have inherited a low vagal tone and are dealing with low mood and all this, there's a way to fix it by stimulating the vagus tone. If you didn't inherit it but somehow your vagal tone gets low, there's ways to increase it. And you're going to talk about that now. How do we stimulate the vagus nerve?
With music.
Yes, that's one way.
Well, I can only speak for myself, but I know there's a lot of people out there can relate to what I'm going to say. The vagus nerves, just like how you feed your body well, you got to feed your nerves. And a lot of people don't realize that. You have to alleviate stress from your life. Whatever causes you to be stressed out, you got to, because that is what can mess up your nerves. Stress can lead right into mental depression. So you got to start off how I do that with mine, and I might show my happiness in a different way. I try to stay in communication with God, and I go into prayer, meditation, music. And every morning when I wake up, what I put on is music, not the high powered gospel music, but meditation music. Want to put me into a real realm with God, you know, like a
A
connection thing,
prayerful state.
like, yes, God, I'm ready now. It's your time. So we have to have that communication. I know working people might not, but I would say to you, because I used to work and I used to have to do the same thing. You get up an hour earlier because you have to give God at least 1 hour out of the 24 hours that he give you, because he's giving more than we are giving him. So that's how I do mine, you know, try to don't let things stress me out. Always try to remember the positive. Even if you're in pain, realize that sometimes the pain you feel, God is trying to tell you that you're still alive. So don't get depressed. Don't get into a depressed mood, because we have a choice. We do have a choice. I'm not saying that if you suffer with mental illness, you have a choice not to suffer, but we have a choice not to get into mental illness. Just like we have a choice to get diabetes or heart disease, we have a choice not to get on the road to mental illness, because there's a stop before I get there. Cut off negative people, because that will affect your nerves also.
I would say from my experience, and this is coming from a 14-year vegan who for the majority of this time eat whole foods, unprocessed foods, right? So I would consider my diet to be very clean, high raw.
Yes.
And I have been diagnosed with mild depression during 2020 or 2021, right? Which I knew before I was even diagnosed, but this has been my life story since I was a child, and Mom can attest. I know what's going on with me before I get to the doctor, and the doctor just tell me what I know, and I'm like, why did I even come to the doctor? Because I'm very in tune with my body. No, actually, this last time with this woman, it was a mistake, because I was trying to talk to a therapist, but dealing with the insurance companies, which is a whole racket, they put me on the line with someone, you know, trying to give out medicines and stuff, which is not what I want, right? That's not what I was looking for.
The medicine don't fix things. It delays stuff.
It only makes things worse, in my opinion, for my body. Now, people have to make the choice for them and their body. So I say that to say that I don't necessarily think that, because even we know from Tiffany Haddish's experience with her mother, where her father did something to a car that her mom was driving or something, and this woman was had an injury, a traumatic injury to her brain that caused her mental illness, right? So it's not like it's always avoidable, right? You know, but
it's not avoidable, but it can be prevented.
You're saying the same thing.
No, you can't.
It's not avoidable, but it can be prevented.
No, I'm only saying that because I've gone through a lot of things in life where maybe the grace of God, though, honestly. Yeah. I could have gone mad already with a lot of things that I face in life, okay? Because, you know, it's life of his story and life of his history. And you people are faced with certain things in life that can make them depressed, and you know, people are faced with things. You were faced with the death of your grandmother, and I think that's probably what put you into a depression. I really think so.
No.
Okay.
No. What put me in that during 2020 and 2021 was overwhelming grief for my community, because I care. I'm a Scorpio, and I'm passionate, and I care.
Okay, can I just stop you right there?
Yeah.
You and I alone cannot change this world. We need an army along with us.
And at the same time, I hear what you're saying, and I don't 100% agree.
Because we agree to disagree, yes.
Because when you keep saying that we alone can't change this world.
But this is why you're on this podcast now, because the more people that you reach to, and you shouldn't be depressed over it because you know you're trying your part, which is so important, Sam.
Right. And so my grief wasn't about my efforts. My grief was over the situation of
yes.
my community. You understand? It's not about what I'm doing, because that part, I'm good. I know what I'm doing and I understand how it works, you know, because like you said, I have a relationship with God. So I understand the role that I'm playing. That could never lead me to depression. It could lead me to fatigue, and it has, you know, you get tired.
Oh, yeah. Because you're human, Sam.
Yes. You know,
you're human.
Tired.
We went over this before. Even the most powered men of the Bible went through depression. We went through that before.
Oh man, and Job went through it, right? Because Job is a great example of that.
He was depressed, but he never gave up hope in God, you know?
You know, and there was a time when he got to the point where he started to curse at God. He did get to that moment.
He get upset.
Yeah. It took a long time because
he get upset, but the only person who told him to curse God and die was his wife, you know. She always, you know.
Thank you for highlighting that during Women's Month.
Well, you know, something it's not all women are ladies of God, though, you know. Some of them their belief is very short, you know, like, and I know there's a lot of powerful women in this world. We don't want to get off the subject, but there's a lot of powerful women in this world who only make it in life because the grace of God.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, just like you go to church every Sunday because you need that reminder, you need the reminder of how God works, that God is. Yeah.
I go to church every day. A lot of people do. Because you know where church is. You go every day. You go to church every day. Yes. All right, go ahead. We don't meet the people of God every day, but we go to church every day.
So the point that I was trying to make is that you go on a regular basis because you need that spiritual refreshment, and stimulating the vagus nerve on a regular basis. And I think on a daily basis, especially if you're prone to anxiety, high stress, you know, things like this, because, you know, I consider myself well-resourced, and I have dealt with anxiety and stress, you know, feeling like, you know, I'm losing my support system, even though that fear was not real, but it felt very real at the time. You know, I could just imagine having way more responsibilities, way more people depending on you, and having that fear and anxiety, you know, 10 times, you know. So this is where this is just like that personal oasis time, all these different methods, which this article, that the link will be in the show notes, the author goes into several examples of how to stimulate the vagus nerve. And Mom, you mentioned one being music, but I wanted to know, of the long list that was given, which of them give you like the biggest energy boost?
Yeah, and you talk about energy. When I'm playing my gospel music, I'm very energized. Even my secular music, because I get so much energy from listening to Bob Marley music. I'm getting the gospel. I'm getting everything. I'm getting world fear, what's going on in the world. I'm getting current situation. I'm getting everything from his music.
Yeah.
It's a combination, and to know that we have people in this world who can give us an idea before things happen, I am well stimulated by that.
I want to shout out my brother, who's a reggae artist, for those who are reggae fans. Sydney Salmon. He have very positive music if you're into reggae.
Yes.
And I would say too, I want to shout out Luciano, because Luciano, basically when he sings, it just touches my soul. Like I just, it
Don't
is like
care.
church. That
Yes.
is church. His songs is church. It's a sermon. It's everything. I just love him so much. His
I think he
voice.
raised the dead though.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. And I remember seeing him in concert, and he was talking about the loss of his son. And I'm telling you, I don't think there was a dry eye in the audience. You know what I'm saying? Because like his voice is just so powerful, and the trauma was coming out so strong from him, of losing his young son. But
And
yeah,
I would
he's
advise to
amazing.
anyone who wants to really know, one of the favorite of mine for Luciana is, Lord, give me strength
Yeah.
to face another day. Because sometimes people wake up in the morning, they are weak. They have no strength, they have nothing. But once you call on the Lord to give you strength, and the words in the song, you have to get up and you start moving around and find yourself dancing too.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think they're calling on coffee, which is why folks are like, I can't even talk to you until I drink my morning coffee.
Well, I can't talk to anybody until I finish my devotion. And anybody who know me, they don't call me until after 9 o'clock. Because my phone will be turned on. I'm not answering it. Yeah. My children can send me a text. I'll hear when they come in.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that was listed to increase the vagal tone is socializing and laughing. And I found for me at this stage of my life that actually gives me the most energy, which is quite interesting because I'm an introvert. So, I like to spend a lot of time alone, but I realize there is a limit to that. Actually interacting with folks and laughing on a daily basis. Like I literally have that in my calendar to make sure I laugh every day. Well,
your dad exercises vagus nerves very, 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 very often because he has a laugh that is contagious. So whenever he's laughing, I laugh. Don't know what he's laughing about, but I'm laughing because it's contagious. But they're saying here that meditation is one of the favorite technique in relaxing your nerves also, which I think so, because I think sometimes people need to find a quiet time alone for that, because relaxation is supposed to be very good.
Yeah. And I see meditation akin to your devotional prayer time in the morning, it's intentional time where the mind is not scattered on all the to-dos and stressful stuff. Yeah, it's very focused. So one of them, because of the socializing aspect, interacting with people, and also we know from the Blue Zones research that being in community is actually one of the keys to longevity for the folks living into 100 and 120, which I know you on that path, Mom. We talked about this for the longest time. You are basically at midlife right now, right? So I want to know, how do you like to be in community? Do you like to do dinners, lunches? Like what kind of activities? Indoor, outdoor?
I like outdoor. I'm not an indoor person, but I do indoor in the winter. I don't do too much outside. But since COVID, I find that it's very, and there goes the nerve again. It's very stressful to be outside because of all the things that people are doing to senior citizens. And you don't even have to be senior. They're pushing down 30-year-olds down the subway. They're pushing you down on the street because there's so much mental people walking around that their vagus nerve is not working. So they'll do anything to people because of their condition, and they can't help it. So, but I'm an outdoor a person. I like to be around people, but positive people. You have to be, because once you start getting negative, I take a walk. And walking is one of those things that I like to do. So I am about to see if I can find some people who already retired who would like to go walking and group up with them.
Ooh, girl
in the
track.
Morning. Because we usually do that. Daddy and myself usually do that, but we have to change our path in where we walk because it's not safe.
Yeah, so I want to
Yeah.
shout out a nonprofit, Girl Trek. If you go to girltrek.org, you can actually
Mhm.
meet up with Black women in your neighborhood to go on walks together. That's what they do. They just did a walk. We walked for Harriet yesterday morning. It's the 200th, her 200th birthday, I believe, of Harriet Tubman. And
Mhm.
which, it's been quite an interesting time kind of exploring her life at that time and some of the inspirations that came into her activism and stuff like that. It's been really interesting, but definitely check them out. But I hear what you're saying. That's why we need more social workers,
Yes.
and we have it in our city budgets, right? If we could just pull that money away from the
I
police
know.
budget and just put it to the social workers,
Well, when
right?
saying all
Because
that, we need the police, because when something go wrong, the first people we call is the police.
but that's part of the issue. But we are definitely going to need to talk about this because this is a health issue. It's a health equity issue. You're talking about people knocking people down. They're not pulling out guns. When you bring a gun to a situation that's not a gun situation, you have now escalated the situation. You understand? There, you call 911, someone's having an asthma attack and police is coming, and it just doesn't make sense. But what you're talking about going on in New York right now, it's quite a time. Yes, we need people with the skill sets to deal with people with mental issues, and they tend to not be police officers. Just like a doctor only gets a week of training at most on nutrition, right? Or 2 weeks at 2 weeks at most at one university on nutrition. Police officers they're not getting the full breadth of training that's needed to deal with people with mental illness so that it doesn't escalate to someone dying. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So anyway, all that to say that we definitely need to talk about this at a future time.
Yeah. So I was saying that the massaging is also good. Like, massage the body. Do the people that get pedicure and they get that what you call it when you get the foot massage, it's called reflexology. That is also awesome for that, because I did that to my brother after surgery quite a few times, and I'm about to give him another foot massage because I have the book on flexology and I know exactly what to do. It's the foot, because underneath the bottom of your feet, you can see where they tell you which nerves go where, and there's a main nerves at the bottom of the feet. And that's where you put your thumb and you massage that nerve. That nerve goes through the entire body. So flexology is wonderful for that. When you're very tense, very, very tense, and somebody starts to massage you, you feel at a point where you'd finally go to sleep because your body's so relaxed. So massaging is wonderful for that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, there's a variety of ways that we can maintain this increased vagal tone. So hopefully you all got inspired or at least learned something new. And we'll see you next time on the Raw Food Health Empowerment Podcast.
Oh boy, this could be longer.